What's going on, Gemini? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the theme of this week's monthly spread is a brand new one, Gemini. We're doing a planetary energy spread. And what I plan on doing with these spreads is just every time the sun moves to a different sign, we're going to discuss where all the planets are at and talk about how we can work with the energy. So should be a good time. I've been enjoying it so far, so I hope you like it as well. Ooh, excuse me. And then just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just great energy all around here, Gemini. Now, Gemini, with this spread, so as you can see here, I have the zodiac signs that each of the planets are in, and so we'll talk about each of the planets and the energies, how they interact with the signs. We'll do an oracle card for each of them, and then we'll pull some tarot cards just to get a little more detail into the energy. So it should be a good old time. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and just so you all know, while we're going through this spread, these aren't gender-specific readings, so apply the energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? And then lastly, the decks that I'm working with. This one is with the decks that I'm working with how many different ones that I'm working with now, I've just decided that I'm going to include all of them down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you're interested, Gemini. But Gemini, let's go ahead and start getting into the energies. So the first sign is going to be Aries. And man, Aries is throwing a party. I'll tell you what, because you got the sun is in Aries, you got Mercury's in Aries, Jupiter's been in Aries, and then we have, I think that's it. And I'm thinking about when I'm recording this, the moon is also in Aries. And I think when this was being released, the moon will still be in Aries tomorrow. But I'm not going to be doing the moon placement on this one just because, one, the moon changes signs like every few days. And if you're curious about lunar shenanigans, I do talk about that stuff on my other channel. So let's talk about the sun. Interesting. Okay, got your stuff here. Whoa. I'm going to stop throwing stuff, and we have a great time. The sun being in Aries. The sun is going to be in Aries till the 19th of April, and I tell you what, this is the beginning of the zodiacal year. Spring is here. The equinox, do you feel it, Gemini? The weather's here. Even I was looking at the weather report yesterday, and it was just like, ooh, it's like, I'm sorry, the temperatures are supposed to be what? Oh yeah, spring, because now things are starting to waken up, Gemini. We're starting to come to life again after being in hibernation for so long. So work with this energy. If we're feeling any kind of, if we're feeling inspired, or whatever that looks like, this is great energy to really, express your dreams and be bold about it. Because now, when I'm thinking about with Mercury being in Aries, Mercury is how we think and how we communicate and process information. And that's going to be just like lit right now. There's going to be more passion, more courage, more innovation. So this is something where if you've been meaning to get like a job, like asking for like a promotion or maybe even like a raise, whatever that's looking like, or maybe you've had your eye on someone and you feel, maybe this is the time to get your roses and go make that move. But this is a good, very, very bold energy. This is a time that, it's like you got that you're able to put your money where your mouth is. This is good energy. And Mercury moved into this sign just here recently on the 18th of March and will be there until the 3rd of April. And then lastly, Jupiter's been having a big old party in Aries since last year. Jupiter stays in each sign for about a year at a time and will be there until May 15th. And hopefully you've been feeling with this energy, more innovative ideas and even a sharper intuition. And this is an opportunity to let go, or, during this still, the opportunity is still not done. of letting go any sort of like limits from our past and come up with some new innovative solutions. And Jupiter being a planet of, higher learning and expansion, this is a great energy to do any sort of like self-teaching or any kind of like learning, something along those lines, take a risk and try new things, or even refine a skill that you already have, but just some sort of like advancement, Gemini. This is a great energy to work with at this time. So let's make the most of that. And you know what? You might actually going to need all this inspirational energy, considering your first oracle card here that's popped up, because you got the fourth card of Capricorns here, which is the roadblock. And with the roadblock, we got blocked change, barriers, challenges, time to regroup, stuck, paralyzed, obstacles, stalling, temporary setbacks, take a detour, not right now, 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And so Gemini, more interesting. With this energy, if we have been noticing that we've been experiencing some challenges, some hurdles, some roadblocks, this is a time, I feel like, if you've been just sort of like, why is this not working? Pause for a second, because sometimes especially with how hot this energy is right now, sometimes when we're really excited about something or whatever this is that you're taking on, that if we're not noticing any sort of momentum, or we're not getting any kind of like was saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, that's a time to really to pause and to slow down a little bit and to evaluate what's going down, because this is going to be a newer way, honestly, of how I'm even thinking about reading the Eight of Cups. But the Eight of Cups is of indolence, and I almost feel like being lazy, and I almost feel like that this energy is kind of asking you to just sort of relax for a second, that maybe if we took time to relax this and slow down for a second, we would see what areas that I feel like it's going to be one of those things the solution will come for you when you'll be out, let's say, if you just take a break and let's say you decide to just get out of that energy for a second. It would be one of those things where you could be out, I don't know, maybe out walking by the lake or something, just taking a moment, and then all of a sudden just all the answers come to you. You're just like, oh my goodness, that's how I can do this thing. That's how my roadblock has been cleared. But I do feel like that it's sometimes that it's about, we got to slow down sometimes and see what it is that we need to, or what it is that we're not seeing. You know what I mean, Gemini? Because if we're just trying to force this thing, or we're just shooting in the dark here, I feel with this moon card, then the progress isn't going to feel as noticeable, than if we, again, just take a moment and just be patient for a second and really just kind of just analyze what's going down. Because normally the Eight of Cups, I'm even thinking about in a more the Rider-Waite deck. The Eight of Cups can be a card of just leaving stuff behind. And I don't even feel like that this is about you need to necessarily let this thing go, but it's more so about just really taking a step away from it for a second. Because I find that if we really, when you get into that thing, where it's you want to solve it, you can, but if it keeps not happening, you get into a spiral state here, and it really just creates this place of confusion and frustration, and it just becomes a lot, Gemini. And so, yeah, just take a moment, and I feel that the answer will come more. Let's see what else we got here. And for some others, I was just about to say that with this Two of Wands here, I feel like maybe for some others, thanks higher self, it may be time to take some action. Maybe this is something where if you've been thinking about starting up, let's say, I don't know, something new, a business, a hobby, whatever, a relationship, I feel that this is this energy is saying, you know, if you've been kind of sitting on this for a while, you know, what's stopping you? What is slowing you down right now? What are some roadblocks that we might think that might get in our way? Because even when I'm thinking about, like, for example, let's say with like a business, you know, we can think before we even start it up, we can come up with all the ways that it could succeed, but we, you know, sometimes we focus, I feel like, a little too hard on all the ways that it may fail and all the ways that we might get hung up, or that's like, well, what happens if I don't have this resource, or, well, you know, what happens if this, what happens with that, what, you know, gets into a whole thing, and then we get to where we're dragging our toes and we're not doing stuff. But if you go at it from a different standpoint, Gemini, like, what if it goes great? What if I do hit these hurdles and I overcome them? Then what? You're going to be a boss. That's what Gemini, because the Two of Wands, this is Mars in Aries. So this is really a big action card, and really taking a moment, get that game plan, map this out, so that when we try again, we go with gusto. You know what I mean? Going with new enthusiasm. But this is something that where I do feel like that if there's something that you're feeling paralyzed or feeling nervous or apprehensive, maybe because of where the times are at, you know, I will say too, you know, just when I'm thinking this energy, you know, the roadblock was saying, you know, not right now. Maybe this could be something, you know, trust your intuition, but just because I feel like this says not right now doesn't mean that it's like not ever. You know, there is going to be a time, especially with where these energies are going, Gemini. This is going to be the time to really take action and to start making wishes and start to really figure out what passions and dreams do you want to start getting cooked up in the mix. I'm excited about your next card here. This is going to be fantastic. But any more here? Ooh, perfect. Then we're going to get on to that then. Look at that, Gemini, because while we're talking about wishes here, but you got the shooting star. But let's talk about this Taurus energy first, because you got two planets that are in Taurus. One of them, let's talk about Uranus first, because Uranus has been in Taurus the longest. And Uranus stays in a sign for about 7-ish years or so. I got to double check that one. But with Uranus being in Taurus, you may have noticed that it's just like these last, you know, few years, you know, that our foundations have been shaken up, because Taurus is a sign of financial security, just security in general, material things, sensuality. It's the very kind of, Taurus is the more sensual side of Venus, the more earthy side of Venus, you know, that type of energy. And you may have noticed that, you know, our foundation for the finances have changed. I mean, come on, with everything that's happened with the banks. And really, I feel like Uranus is just really cooking up there. You know, it's got a couple more years till it moves over into your sign, Gemini, in 2025. But I feel like in the meantime, you know, Uranus has really been kind of revolutionizing things, because that's what Uranus does. It brings about change, the necessary change, not just change just because. These adjustment things are going down for a reason, Gemini, because Uranus comes in, it's like, oh, this ain't working. Oh, we got to get rid of all this. Hold up, flips table, and it's like, and that's where, and it feels like a lot at first. You know, we can feel like our financial, material possessions, and even our self-esteem are just like, all those foundations are just at a low right now. But it's just they're reestablishing themselves right now. You know, we have to. Uranus energy invites us to evolve and to adapt and to embrace change and to embrace it, you know, with open arms. Because if we don't, then it gets harder to just working with these energies. It's not to say that you won't get abundance or get further along on your journey, but it's just like trying to run up the down escalator. It's just going to be a lot of unnecessary work, as opposed to, you know, working with the energies a little bit better. So just something to keep in mind with that. But luckily, We got Venus just moved into Taurus. She just came back home about on the 16th of this month of March and will be there until the 10th of April. And with Venus being at one of her homes, because you know the Empress got it like that, she got two pads. But at her first abode with Taurus, you know, this is a good time if you have any sort of like love, money concerns. And when I'm talking love, this could be, you know, in romance, in friendships, business, whatever, any kind of like partnerships or anything. This is about bringing that energy or bringing those issues out in the open, you know, and addressing this stuff, and then figuring out how we can get those things back in order. And then also, this is a good energy if we are thinking about dating, you know, with all this Aries passionate energy right now. This is a great time for dating as well, courting and all of that. But the biggest takeaway I feel is this energy, you know, invites us really to kind of slow down and really be in the moment, because where Taurus energy is, they are all about the finer things of life. You know, if they're gonna do it, it's gonna be real nice. You know, Taurus is a great example of how treating yourself should look, you know, or can look. And this is a time, you know, I really feel like to appreciate all the little things, you know, expressing gratitude and enjoying, like, not even just stuff, Gemini, even just like rich conversations, and just really being present for all of that and whatever growth comes out of that. You know, Venus is really, I feel, trying to, you know, with Uranus, you trying to do a renovation in her house, you know, she's coming through and getting orders just like, you got to put that back. So, yeah, work with this energy at this time, Gemini. And this is great too, while talking about, because Venus is with abundance and stuff like that, but you got the shooting star here, the 8th card of Aries, and you got quick action, wish granted, luck, dynamic, incandescent, dazzled, sudden, short-lived, passionate, passing through, enterprising, and brilliant. So look at you, Gemini. You're just all kinds of, look at you, all kinds of stuff here. But, oh, look at you. You okay? Okay, let's talk about this before we get into the tarot. When I was talking about, you know, making a wish and all of that, this is a great time, Gemini, to bring our dreams to life, you know, like really, especially, and we're going to talk about it in a few, but with Pluto moving into Aquarius, this is an innovative time that we're getting ready to get into. And not just like, yes, it's going to affect us individually, but even just like on a whole, Gemini, this is going to be a totally innovative type of whole new world here. And you know, we want your brilliance and your all of that to shine through. You know, be as incandescent as possible. You know, really shine that light and allow your dreams to just flow naturally. And you know, because we'll talk about this first card here, the Princess of Swords. Because I feel like that maybe when I think about like dreams and, you know, like hobbies or like, you know, unfulfilled stuff, you know, maybe that we've just put to the side, you know, maybe to make room, you know, since we got, you know, life got, you know, obligations and things kind of got in the way. But I feel that the Princess of Swords is a representation of how we can kind of like create our own type of like roadblocks and limit ourselves, and really how sometimes our thoughts can really kind of diminish a dream. And sometimes that we can, if we let's say, for example, if you're a lawyer, but you know, you like doing like, I don't know, maybe watercoloring on the side, very specific. But it's not even that I'm saying that you would need to quit being a lawyer to do watercolors. It's just like, why aren't we making more time for that? You know, if you're like, if there's something, ask yourself, Gemini, is there something that you've been thinking about that you've been wanting to do recently? Like, man, I wish I had more time to do this. Or, you know, oh, you know, it's been such a long time. I used to do this all the time, man. You know, but things got so busy. I feel that, Gemini, what are we doing right now? Can we bring that thing back into the mix? Maybe works a little more, just a little more fun in our life. Because with this debauchery card, the Seven of Cups, normally this is like a card of toxicity in this deck, in which it could be in the sense of that I just feel like that this is what happens when we just focus on the obligations all the time, the have-tos, the bills, the groceries, those things. But then we don't have a balance of doing the stuff that we want to do, Gemini. That's where I feel like the shooting star is, what do you wish that you had more time to do, and then figuring out how to make more time for that, because the Princess of Swords, even though she might get in her own way, she can get out of her way. She's intelligent. You're intelligent, Gemini, and you have, however, how you can, because like for, let's say, like that watercoloring, if we can carve out maybe 10 minutes out of your time, do something kind of nice, just something to get you out of the norm. I feel like even that would just nurture, any little thing to just kind of nurture that part of you a little bit. I feel like that'll help kind of remove these blockages. I even feel like that you might be feeling right now, because maybe that's something where we're having trouble figuring things out because we haven't really tapped into like our creative side and we've only been expressing ourselves maybe through one outlet for a while, and maybe because we've been ignoring some others, that creative muscle has just atrophied. And so maybe, Gemini, this is something where if you start working on this stuff, who knows where that will lead you? Who knows what stuff could possibly grow from this, what luck and really dynamic changes could possibly have, what wishes could be granted. But Gemini, we got to make space for that. That's the thing too. If we're just really consumed with all of the have-tos and the needs, or the have-tos and the stuff, but really not appeasing the other side of us. Take a note from the Empress. I keep talking about that while she's here, or like she's here. I don't think she's popped up once yet. But take a note from Venus. Venus is chilling at home right now. She's relaxing. Even with all the chaos that's going down with Uranus trying to do renovations in her house, she's still taking time for herself. She's still taking time to relax and to do her. The responsibilities will still be there, Gemini, but your dreams and stuff, I don't want to say they'll go away, but they miss you, and sometimes we forget how wonderful they can be and what joy they can bring to our life. And that's something too, Gemini, because maybe, are we going to do more? Maybe something that we're thinking about is that maybe it has been a while and we're like, oh, I'm not going to be, let's say, for example, if we used to play like an instrument. Well, of course, if it's been like maybe 10 years since you played, of course you're not going to be quite as sharp as what you were when you were in your practicing all the time. But the thing is, it's just like any other skill that you learn, Gemini. It's like riding a bike. Sometimes, we might get a little awkward at first, but we find the groove of it because you remember the basics. You know what I mean? It's not like you got to learn something all over again. It's just maybe you just got to learn it in this time. More? Because look, more Scorpion energy here. And this is about, Scorpion energy is about doing that detective work and finding those things that bring us joy, Gemini. The Six of Cups, look at this, a cup of pleasure. And that's where you, Gemini, pour yourself a cup of pleasure. Pour 6 cups if you have it, depending on how busy you've been doing. But just take a little time to enjoy yourself and just do something, do something more. And that's interesting now that I'm kind of looking at this 6, 7, and 8 of Cups. For those of you who haven't been doing stuff, maybe we've been kind of dragging our feet on something. Something to be mindful of too, just looking at this progression. Be mindful of overindulgence, because this 6 of Cups to the 7 of Cups to the 8 of Cups leads to that's a strong mixed, and then throw Princess in the mix here. That's a good recipe for a devil situation there, Gemini. And I do love me a good devil situation, but sometimes we don't need to get in them if we don't have to. The devil doesn't like just popping up just cause. But enough silliness, but maybe. But Gemini, I do feel like that for some of us, you know, there is a need for fun and you know, and just allowing that, allowing yourself to dream a little bit more and to just see where that takes you. And I feel like that may, even if we've been feeling stuck or blocked, or even if we've been feeling lost, my response to that would be, and actually a Scorpio said this, another person that I watched, Scorpio actually said this, and I really enjoyed that. If we've been feeling lost, don't think of it as you're lost, Gemini. Think of it as you're on a discovery. You know, you're journeying, you know, you're growing. You're finding yourself in this. You're finding yourself right now, because I don't know if you can see down here, this little scarab beetle, that's you, Gemini, and you're getting ready to bring that little orb. That's the sun. And what is the moon? It's a reflection. All the moon does is reflect the sun's light, Gemini. So let your light shine through. Let that shooting star, send a shooting star, make a wish. I'm with it. Now let's get to the next energy here anymore. Yeah, let's get to the next energy, which is Cancerian energy. And Mars. Mars is going to be moving into Cancer on the 25th of, is it the 25th? Yes, 25th of this month of March, and will be in Cancer until the 19th of May. But this is an interesting placement for Mars. You know, Mars energy is normally very aggressive, you know, very, very much, you know, do first and think about it later. But now with it being kind of watered down by Cancer, it's not that we won't get stuff done, but unless we feel like a real emotional connection to it, it's going to be a little more difficult, or might require a little more effort to get it done. But we can use that to our advantage, Gemini, where, you know, yes, Cancerian energy can be emotional energy, but if there's something that is evoking, you know, some type of emotion, you know, some sort of like that long lost dream or something along those lines, see where that goes. Use that as a motivator, because I tell you, when Cancerians do get started, my son's in Cancer, when we get started and we love something and it really resonates with us, we mean it, you know, and we're going to nurture that thing. So that's where I feel like, you know, this Mars energy, you know, if we can line that up, we can really use that to our advantage. But something to be mindful of too, Gemini, is because with Mars being such an aggressive area, you know, it can be an aggressive energy, and Cancer can be a very emotional energy. We want to be mindful of our actions at this time, because our actions are going to be a little more emotionally fueled. And we just want to be mindful of not being reactive. You know, we want to be proactive during this energy. So just keep an eye on these emotions. And which is interesting, you know, because I got the card that came along with this. You got the third card of Libras, which is the Cabin card. And this is the descriptions on here are lonely, confined, detached, remote, secluded, go within, insulate, Empress. We're not keeping her. What are we talking about? Doing that Empress thing. She just wanted to pop through, just say, hey. We sidebar, her and I really got to get that figured out. But where are we at? Insulate, disengage, close off. That's what I'm talking about. Kept apart, quarantine, island, segregate, separated, divide, disconnected, and sequestered. Ooh, and look at what, wow, Gemini. So, you know, this may be, I feel like with this energy here, that this may be a good time for you. Just honestly seeing how these next couple cards are coming up here, because they're both Libra's cards. And Libra is usually a sign of partnerships, but both of these are very much kind of like introspective cards and like lone wolf cards. And I feel like that maybe for some of us, that they're the answers for really these roadblocks, and honestly, maybe even like your dreams and wish fulfillments too, may come from taking a little time, you know, maybe if this is having yourself an Empress weekend, or maybe if you go, or maybe even longer, maybe go on a sabbatical if you have the time, or or whatever this looks, but maybe finding some moments for yourself with just like a little alone time to just kind of disconnect. Because even thinking too, your ruler Mercury being in Aries, your mind is probably going to be a little more overactive at this time. And it's going to be good to kind of sit with that energy, with everything that's going down, all the opinions and, maybe the worries and whatnots. It can get in the way of, what is our fulfillment? What is our happiness? And I feel that there is going to be abundance that can come, Gemini, and not even just just in the wealth standpoint, because yes, the pentacles, the disc can deal with money, but they also can deal with like our health and our resources, and again, not more than just money, I feel that there is going to be a wealth of abundance for you here. If we could just find some time to just maybe disconnect from people for a little bit. And listen, I know that Gemini is very social energy, but I feel like really disconnecting from like social media and just like, maybe, and it's like, just like going like a hermit mode, not necessarily like cutting people off, but just like designating just like little just pockets of time for you, even if we can't just like get out to like a cabin, let's say. But I just honestly, I feel like that this can be a time, for you to really think about what you want to do next and where do you see you going, and really building a solid relationship. Just thinking about even, Libra being a sign of relationships, building a solid relationship with yourself, Gemini, and making sure that that you're doing all well. Because think too, you're a sign of duality, and sometimes that dual energy can be all over the place, and it's nice to just kind of to get them on the same page again, when they've been kind of running wild and maybe the mind has been just kind of running wild. So something, just something to think about, Gemini. More. And take it as it resonates, and if this works for you. I just did something not too long ago, and it was an interesting exercise where it was just like, what is your like kind of go-to distraction? The thing that keeps you kind of checked out of life the most. That can be social media, it could be, maybe watching videos on YouTube, maybe it's watching TV, maybe it's like, maybe you're like me, an aggressive reader or studier, whatever that's looking like. Give yourself a week and deprive yourself of that to allow your thoughts to kind of settle. Because I know how that sounds, but believe me, I did it for a week and I didn't read anything. I got my notes and stuff done and all my things situated for the channel and whatnot, but I was just very much in the moment, and just allowed, because sometimes Gemini, especially, I find like anyone with any kind of like Mercury placements, Gemini or Virgo energy, that the mind needs a break, because you're such an intelligent sign, you can process so much information at once. Mercury is very, very intelligent energy, and sometimes we need to take a moment and just decompress and process all of the stuff that you voluntarily consumed, and even some of the stuff that involuntary that had been registering in you, and it helps you just to kind of find you again and find that just really find who you are, Gemini. There was something that was very freeing about that. It was a little uncomfortable at first, but I tell you, when I got back into the reading and studying again, it was a lot more focused. There's still sometimes I can notice I can still kind of be a little scattered, but it wasn't nearly as scattered as because I was like, it was like aggressive, Gemini, and a little bit more about me, then we're gonna move on. But it was like I've been just like cranking for months. I mean, literally probably like the last like 6-7 months, it's just been nonstop, just like head in books and internets and things, in my downtime, and I love doing that. But really, when I paused, I was just like, wow, there's just so much information that's going on in my head, like what is even happening. And now that you've given that, you'd be surprised, you give your brain just a time to just kind of relax and just unplug and decompress, the roadblocks clear. You know, the inspiration comes, just everything, just the balance is established, Gemini. So just something to think about more. Okay. Yeah, just because and listen, Gemini, I have a Gemini moon, so that's where I was like, I'm a Cancer sun, but Gemini moon, so it's like, so a lot, a lot is going down, but I get it, Gemini. You know, I'm basically you. I'm you on a soul level. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, Capricorn's card here. You got the Queen of Disc, and you know what, Gemini, this alone time, I tell you what, I think it will give you some new resources, because the Queen of Disc is absolutely, she's very resourceful. And sometimes too, when she's thinking about her game plan, you know, she sits with this stuff for a second and she gets this figured out. You know, what would fill up all of my cup? What is going to be the thing that's going to fill up all my cups and going to get all my abundance, like all wrapped in one? And if she needs to take a moment and sit with that, she absolutely will, you know, in order for her to get the most effective game plan. And so that's where I feel that Gemini, if we take this time, you know, and even in Gemini, this doesn't even have to be something where if you can't even take like let's say we can't take a long period of time, then just working little pockets, you know, of just like no, whatever our normal thing is, just like have like some decompressed time, you know, some winding down, maybe like an hour or two before you go to bed. Just get phones plugged in, just kind of detach for a second if you're more so kind of on the computer. Or, you know, if you notice like you're in more books, maybe just put on some music, maybe doing some chores, maybe cleaning up the place, something along those lines. But just any little thing to just kind of just have you some you time and some thinking time. I feel like it's going to be, there's some valuable resources that are going to come from that, Gemini. Alrighty, let's move to the big one here. Because this one, when this is getting released, Gemini, tomorrow, and I feel that the air signs are really gonna feel that, you know, Aquarius in particular, and I don't feel like it's not in a bad way, but you're gonna notice the shift, because Pluto is going to enter Aquarius on the 23rd of this month of March. And to give you an idea, Pluto only changes signs every 20-ish years. So this is a big deal. And Pluto brings transformative energy into the mix. And this is going to be a bit of a weird dance that Pluto does at first, because Pluto moves on the 23rd and then moves out, or is going to retrograde back into Capricorn a little, I think on on June 12th, I want to say. So where excuse me. He'll retrograde in Capricorn on the 12th, where he'll be for the rest of the year, and then move back into Aquarius on the 21st of January 2024. But in that little pocket, we're going to get a taste of what the next 20 years are going to look like. And this is, Gemini, take it as it resonates, but I do feel that this is going to be like a societal and just technological revolution. And this is something to get really pumped about. This is a time to think big, dream big. If we have any ideas cooking up, the only crazy idea is the one that's not executed. And that's going to be now going forward. You know, think big. The Queen of Disc, this is not an energy where it's like, oh, no one's doing that. It would never work. If no one's doing it, the Queen of Disc is like, all right, now we're on to something, because now we're going to bring something innovative. And if you're not sure what a practical approach is, tap into that Mercury energy. Let's do some brainstorming, Gemini. Let's start doing some research and to figure out how we can bring that idea and start manifesting that. You know, how we can bring that down to earth. But things are getting ready to change. Networking. This is what, you know, while you're taking time to find yourself, and when you do, you know, see where that leads you, because we all are going to. It's going to be just your personal shift, societal shift. You know, the rules are changing, you know, and you see it, you know, there's Aquarian energy is humanitarianism, is technology. So there's going to be crazy advances, you know, just like uniqueness is going to become mainstream. And there may be some weirdness with government stuff. There may be some shifts, and it's just the times. All this transformative energy, Gemini, work with this at this time. And really, something too, another thing that may get you unstuck, working with some others. I know we got some alone time, that we might be doing, work on your downtime, but if you can get some ideas cooking, maybe put out some feelers, see how people might feel about some stuff, because you're going to be, I feel like you got some collaboration here at the end here after you get done with this once you get this into a routine. So just make the most of this time, Gemini. This is going to be a great energy for communication, for just all of it. So let's get into your oracle card, which is interesting. Actually, not even really. But now that I'm reading this card, because you got the biker here, which is lone wolf style, impervious, nonconformist, standing up, breaking rules, Pluto in Aquarius, nonconformist, Pluto in Aquarius, brotherhood, enjoy the ride, loves freedom, moving on, outlaw, maverick, swift actions, and need for speed. So Gemini, I feel like that this is something where I don't feel like you have to rush this, with that need for speed and swift actions, but things are happening fast. And I do feel like, make sure that you are taking this time in thinking about what you want to do next and how we want to change the game up, because you see, like the biker was talking about, it's a great time for working outside of the rules, doing things differently, not conforming to the standard, unconventional moves, and I had a bigger word than that, but you know what I mean. Innovative stuff. This is going to be the time, being your own person, being an individual, uniqueness really is going to stand out here. Let's see what your tarot cards are looking like. Oi. Okay, so we got more abundance, 10 of Cups here, and then you got the Eon card. And I like this, Gemini. I almost feel like this Eon card is going to be like what I'm picturing is like when we do this cabin card, take this time and, kind of be a hermit, kind of find ourselves, take more time for that, make more time for that. Once we do that and that cycle ends and we start getting on the new cycle, we start thinking about what's happening next. I feel like that's when that biker is going to start coming out and really start, kind of roaring it up and let everybody know that like Gemini is here. That's really what I'm getting with this, because it just dawned on me. The Eon card in other decks, it's represented by Pluto. Transformative time, and that's what I was talking about. You're getting ready to go through a transformation, Gemini. We're getting ready to end a cycle, and this is going to be something where taking actions towards your dreams, and filling up all of your cups. What does that look like? Because when you focus on those dreams, Gemini, it inspires others to do the same thing, and it inspires new ideas, and then we collaborate, and then who knows where that goes from there. But we're really getting into an age, into a time where it's just like, finding that balance between our wants and our dreams and our desires and our obligations. It's got to be a different way of operating at this point, because things are changing. But Gemini, yeah, this is, I feel like this next month is going to be like an interesting transformation. And then when that inspiration comes, that's when I feel like the networking is going to happen. All the ideas are really going to start cooking, and things are really going to just start expanding for me from there. Because this come on, 10 of cups, 10 of disc, ace of cups. I mean, that's brilliant, you know. And that's what, wait, wasn't that one of your things? Brilliant, Gemini. So work with this more. You know, work with this energy. You know, this I really feel like is going to get you closer to, because here's the thing too, when we're talking about like 10 of cups and ace, you know, 10 of disc, you know, these are lifelong goals. You know, this is the mission for the whole journey. You know, we may never actually get that whole big picture, but it's just working towards that, you know, and getting, and making that, in coming into that energy as much as we possibly can, and helping that permeate as much as we possibly can. You know what I mean? That's the excitement, because if you just got all this tomorrow, then it's just like, oh, well then what, well now what? You know? So yeah, Gemini, this is, I do feel is going to be a really kind of expansive time for you, you know? Let's see what else we got here. Knight of Wands, absolutely more, because you're Gemini, and I know it may feel like you're getting a lot of contradictory energy right now. It's like, rest up, but get ready to get going. That's in Gemini. I know it may feel confusing at the moment, but that's where, because maybe some of you is like, you feel this change, you know something's coming, but it's just like, when do I make the move? And it's just like, don't think about it. You know, pause for a second. You know, keep doing keep working on you right now. Because I tell you, it really is, when the sign comes and you're just like, your Gemini senses will tingle. You know, it's just like those innate things. But don't, you know, try not to force it, Gemini. Because here's the thing with the Knight of Wands. He's my card up. He's bringing so much heat. He's the hottest knight in this deck. You know, he's the fiery part of fire. Knights representing fire, Wands representing fire. This is the King of Wands in traditional decks. But he's the type, he's got so much heat that he's bringing. But if he's not mindful with that energy, you know, if we're just like, just kind of pouring it in and hitting our head against the wall here with this roadblocks, then that's going to lead you to burnout, Gemini. And it's going to lead you to a place of, you know, where we're feeling kind of indolent, you know, and we're not feeling, then, you know, then we're not moving. But there's going to be a sign, Gemini, more. But there's going to be a sign, you know, when you know, you'll know, because we're actually, and let me tell you how the sign's going to put. It'll be something like that, where this is the Knight of Wands here. That's Sagittarius's card. This next card is Sagittarius's card. This is third card of Sagittarius. But it's going to be something like that, Gemini. Like, and not exactly like that, but it'll be just one of those things. When you know, you'll know, you know? All right, let's get to this last little bit of energy here, which is going to be Pisces energy. And Pisces energy, Pisces energy is so compassionate, and that's really, really lovely. I feel let's start with Neptune being in Pisces, because Neptune's been in Pisces for like Neptune 1 rules Pisces, and so she's chilling at home. She's been chilling at home for like, Neptune hangs out in signs like every 14 years, so she's been comfortable in Pisces. But with this energy, it's limitless compassion. You know, it really is just beautiful energy that's bringing. You know, this is very much about just camaraderie and coming together and wanting to raise the vibration as a soul tribe. This is Neptune and Pisces is like Ace of Cups all over the place. Your cup has just spilled, and it's just like we're overflowing with just joy, and you know, the value of coming together really shines through. And this is a perfect time too to really get in touch with your spirituality. But also, Gemini, you know, I'm just thinking with how you know, Neptune can deal with like fantasies, possibly get into like addictions in that, you know, in that realm. And just, you know, when we're talking about the seven of cups, just being mindful of any kind of like escapist tendencies as well, you know, just since we happen to talk about that little devil moment. But other than that, You know, this is a great time to, while you're doing that, finding that alone time, really getting in touch with whom you are again, and yet spirituality. Because think too, Gemini, your sign is represented by the Lovers, and every time I talk about the Lovers, it's like, I always say that's like, you know, when it pops out, it's like your higher self kind of winking at you, trying to get your attention. You know, like, hey, there's something more that we can connect to here. So that's where I really feel like, you know, Gemini, take this. This is a beautiful time for you. You're going to go from, I feel you really can make the most of Neptune, you know, get in touch with your spirituality, and then spread all that love and compassion that you learned and accumulated for yourself into the soul tribe. And, you know, oh, beautiful. Look at you. And then, and then the other planet is Saturn in Pisces. And this is actually a pretty dope placement for Saturn. You know, Saturn is usually kind of like the taskmaster, like a, you know, kind of the hard ass of the zodiac. But Saturn means well. Saturn wants us to improve, you know, like he may come in bringing restrictions and limitations and setting time limits, but it's all with the efforts of getting your all this abundance. Because tell you what, when you put in the work, Saturn rewards handsomely, as you can see here. But this is a perfect time again for looking inward, cabin, looking inward, and connect with any dreams that you have, shooting star, and get all the details that you can for this, you know, and figure out where do you want to go from here. Princess of Swords. I can do this all day, Gemini. Work with these energies right now. They're trying to set you up for success. And, you know, you might be feeling with all this stuff, all these changes that are going down, you know, you might feel a little restless, anxious, maybe a little sleepless. But this is a time to not to get, you know, worried or anything. This is a relax. This is going to be an adjustment period for sure, but it can be a rewarding one. It's just depending on where you're putting your energy at this time. In what ways are you raising the vibration? And the best way, you know, if we're nervous about things going negative, you know, going towards a low vibratory state, well, Gemini, like I was saying, raise your vibration, which is going to help make inspire others to raise theirs. And then look at that, you're an influence. You went from wishing on stars to becoming a shooting star. Now look at you. And you know what? Let's talk about how you're spreading all that energy. Because you got this third card of Sagittarius here, which is the crew card. But you know, like crew, like the rowing. And I bet you already knew that. But this is a card of in sync, esprit de corps. Sidebar. Aries, for their birthday spread yesterday, they got this card and another card that had some French in it, one of Pisces cards that had some French in it. I was just like, oof, we're gonna be this Oracle deck I absolutely love. And it's like, we're gonna be fluent in French, and so our lexicons are gonna be expanded. I mean, just man. But the crew card is about being in sync. Let's get back to that. Esprit de corps, I just wanted to say that again. Working together as a unit, team, leadership, co-create, pooling assets, camaraderie, gung-ho, forming alliances, partnerships, effort, and partnerships and team effort. And so, Gemini, you know, I feel like this is something where after we've got done going through this, hermit situation that we're going through. Oh, look at you, High Priestess. Look how spiritual you became. More. With this energy, you know, once we get done doing this hermiting stuff here, you know, I do feel that this is a great time for camaraderie, for collaboration. Because again, Pluto, Aquarius, they're so much about connecting with others. And really, I find the most innovative stuff comes from when we take, on top of, you know, aside from our own, it's like when we take like two ideas, and it's just like watching those energies intermingle and seeing how that manifests, you know, what can create from there. You know, this is a time, you know, to work with energies with kind of like energies. And this is a good energy, or good, just something to think about, Gemini, I'm thinking with this crew card and being in sync. If we're noticing that there are people or even like situations that aren't in sync with us, you know, that aren't raising our vibration or whatever that is, looking into that, if it's providing any, or if it's adding on any sort of like extra strife or frustration or anything along those lines. This is the Five of Wands, invites us to think about some ways to alleviate some of that strife, to calm down some of that heat, to tap into your intuition and bring balance into the mix here. How do we get things simpatico again? And that's where we got to ask ourselves a lot of these questions. Gemini, I feel like during this cabin time, what resonates with you? What's going to fill up all your cups? What does your happily ever after look like? What does your legacy look like? These are a lot of big questions, Gemini, that I feel that, you're going to be kind of going through over this next month and probably going forward. Really start thinking about this. Is this how I really pictured this looking like? And if not, here's the thing, because maybe some of us might think like, oh, well, it's too late. I'm too far in the journey to make any sort of adjustments. Never. The only time it's done is when the journey is done. Up until your last breath, Gemini, you can do whatever you want, and you can shift this direction towards these pentacles, this happiness, all of that, and get it closer to what you want. It's not all about, I'm thinking with the Moon card, it's not all about what people sell us, like what people tell us maybe like it's going to bring us happiness. We got to manifest this stuff ourselves here. But I'm not even sure how I got on that, Gemini. But bringing it back home. This can be a great time for you to, and Gemini, I'm just looking at that leadership card. This is not, or leadership part of it. When we're thinking about what we're going to do, no one's really asking you to be a leader. You don't have to put any kind of weird pressure on yourself. You can lead from behind the scenes, if that's your jam. But it's just about doing the stuff that we love, and I really feel like doing stuff that aligns with us, and also figuring out the people, how we can, how they align with us, and what assets, like how we can raise each other's vibrations. This crew card is very much kind of like Six of Pentacles for me. It's just like, hey, I have all these tech savvy skills. You have all these, these connections with these people. Let's sync up. We can get social media lined up. We can get your probably, do something amazing, Gemini. Because this is not a time, I feel like, to focus on what you can't do. This is a time like, okay, I may be short in this area and I don't even feel like improving it. Who can help me with this? And then I can focus on refining this, work with these energies, Gemini, more. Let's see what else. Princess of Cups. I'm with it. More. Because the Princess of Cups, I will say, she's the type that she's very generous. She's the type that loves sharing amongst people and, spreading her ideas and her energies and whatnot, and working with people. Like, she's all about, if you told her that she's got all this abundance, she's going to, she's going to lose it. And then she's going to figure out a way how she can spread that abundance with others, Gemini. But I will say with the Princess of Cups, if I had to give one caveat with her, is that she can be an overgiver. So just being mindful of, just the energies and the people that we're pouring that into, Gemini. And I do feel like this can really be, because really the Princess of Cups, which is like the Page of Cups in traditional decks, it gives me very Piscean vibes. Body's all the water energies, but I just feel like it really does. Pisces really stands out the most in that. But all water signs, tend to give, or have the tendency to give a lot more than they, than maybe they realize sometimes. So just something to be mindful of, but also we can all share in this abundance too. It can be where we all are pouring in and we're all getting just as much back. It can be just a beautiful, oh, there's that devil. It can be just a beautiful situation here. He's just stopping by. But any more? Okay. Let's see what else we got here, Gemini. Okay. Any more? Alrighty. Nice. There's your ruler. And look at you coming into your... Oh, yeah, Gemini. Let's switch back over. Where are we at? Okay. So, lastly, you got the Knight of Disc here, Gemini. And this is where I feel like you're getting ready to come into. You're getting ready to come into your power, where you're feeling more stable. Look at you, so regal. You're getting ready to come into your stability here. And I find that it's going to be one at first, you know. I feel like you're going to need to be patient with this energy. You know, it's going to take a moment to get there, but start thinking about what dreams that you haven't, you know, that you've left unfulfilled, Gemini. You know, what is it that you want to manifest? Are you creating as much as you would like? You know, are there things that are you feeling unfulfilled in certain areas? You know, these are big questions, you know. I feel like ask yourself, Gemini. And if your intuition is trying to lead you somewhere, follow that and see where that takes you. And I also like with the Magus card, you know, that being the Magician. I don't know if you can tell on here, but while he's doing all this manifesting, he's got a big old smile on his face. He's enjoying the energy while he's it's maybe, you know, we're not sure what we're creating at the moment, but we're at least just manifesting and seeing, you know, the potential that we have. But you know, even the Magician, even this, like, just thinking with this Magician High Priestess combo, this really is like, you know, learning your gifts and learning how you manifest, Gemini. So you're getting ready to come into something fantastic. So settle in there and really pay attention to these energies right now, because they're trying to lead you, I feel, to this stability here, where you're feeling good, where you're feeling, because I love this King of Disc here, because he's like grounded, he's rooted in the earth, he's so grounded in his energy, and that's where I feel like you're about to be, Gemini. But we gotta get that dream started before we can get grounded. So let's bring that star, down from the sky, and let's bring it to the earth, and let's create something beautiful. So I'm with it, Gemini. I think I'm going to leave that there. I hope that made sense. It was kind of a little bit all over the place, but I like it. I think that this is going to be a really great time for all of us. But really, I feel like the air signs are, you know, if you got any strong air placements, they're gonna notice a shift for sure. So, but if anything, you know, resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share this, Gemini. I feel that this is something where, yeah, any dreams and stuff, you know, allow that stuff to come true, you know. And too, Gemini, really, you know, just with how active a mercurial mind can be, you know, just taking those little breaks. And it doesn't, you know, what I did, you know, was an exercise from a book that I'm reading that I'm still going through, but it doesn't have to be a week, Gemini. You know, maybe like it could be even just like maybe once a week, you know, or so, like, you know, for a couple hours or whatever. But just something to kind of, so that your mind can kind of wind down a little bit there, because that can be a lot, you know, just kind of going all the time if you don't have a moment to just kind of process everything that's going down. So just something to be mindful of. And then if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell button. You get notified when I release videos each week. And then social media, I am on Insight Timers, a meditation app. I enjoy using it. Or working with it. It's been one I've been working with for years. They have a free version, premium version if you want, but I made a group on there called Zodiac's Raising the Vibration. And it's just a little spot for, I put affirmations there, but anyone can post any like positive affirmations or encouraging messages, anything along those lines. Or if you just, you know, while you're during your alone time, you know, if you need a little pick-me-up, a little positive nugget of sunshine or something, just, you know, pick one up, a mantra. I post one in there literally, I try, if not every day, every other day, but I've been on it so far. So there you go, Gemini. And that's Zodiac's Raising the Vibration. And then lastly, if you have any Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, wherever, check out my other channel, The Cherridan Friends. I do videos Monday through Friday there. We absolutely talk about the High Priestess, because the High Priestess is the moon and that's Cancer's ruler. And it's a good old time. And all that housekeeping, down in the description box below. But I kept you here for a good little time, Gemini. So let me get your surprise card so I can get you out of here. And look at you, winner. You got the Six of Wands here, victory. And then let's get your Oracle card. You got the Roundabout. And so that's the third card of Pisces. And the Roundabout is community, connections, new direction, keep it moving, controls the flow of information, solutions, circular reasoning, fluid. I think that's supposed to say many working parts, but it has a many. But I think it's many working parts and then perfect timing and redirect. And so, Gemini, this is going to be a time, we were talking about community, about connections, but I do feel that life is trying to get you in, like trying to redirect your energy somewhere, trying to find an area that might be kind of lacking. And again, it's not saying that it's like you need to neglect your responsibilities. It's just making a little more time to fill up your cups, to do some things just for you, you know what I mean? And I find that when we take this time and, make these moments for ourselves, it's all going to come together nicely, and if we just get to that win, we get to the Six of Wands, this is Jupiter and Leo, and that's just, feeling really good about yourself. Jupiter's abundant and Leo energy, just that sunshine, shining, feeling confident in your energy. So I do feel that there is something new that's coming on the horizon here, Gemini. So rest up and get ready to hit up your friends, because things are about to increase. So I think I'll leave that there. So stay safe out there, and Gemini, you just raise that vibration, because good things are coming for you here. I feel it. This is going to be a great new era that we're entering in. And I will catch you on the next one later.